Good day to everyone. My name is Matthew Lim, and I'm a PhD candidate at WAWASAN Open University in Penang. And my co-authors are Mr. Prakash and Dr. ANBALAGAN from WOU Penang. My topic for this conference is entitled The Demographic and Social Influence Moderations of Airbnb Guests in Malaysia. For those who may not be familiar with Airbnb, it stands for Air, Bed and Breakfast and was founded in San Francisco in 2008, and the company operates an online marketplace for lodging and private homestays. Airbnb can also be found in 191 countries across 65,000 cities with more rooms combined than the top 3 hotels in the world such as Marriott, Hilton and International Hotel Group. It was only last year, and through the pandemic, it managed to raise 130 billion USD in the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. And since its inception, it has proliferated throughout the world, spanning from Europe to the Middle East and to now to Southeast Asia. Coming closer to home, Airbnb's host and guest community in Malaysia has contributed to as much as 4 billion ringgit to the national GDP. However, Airbnb has also managed to outperform traditional hotels in Malaysia and is responsible for the loss of revenue to the loss of brand positioning or reputation, staff layoffs, and tighter margin, all because of the ineffectiveness of the hotels to understand consumers. To understand this phenomenon, we will first have to understand the consumers of Airbnb, and existing consumer models have not been able to fully encapsulate modern day consumers of Airbnb, especially in this technological day and age, as Airbnb thrives in the age of social media and online markets, and through the power of user feedback and communication, or otherwise known as social influence, that may moderate Airbnb guests to use Airbnb. Demographic profiling or segmentation of consumers of Airbnb is also an important factor that may moderate Airbnb guests in utilizing Airbnb. There is a lack of practical segmentation study of Airbnb guests in Malaysia, and therefore it is imperative to have an educated understanding of who these consumers are and why they have chosen Airbnb. The key is to know your consumers well enough in order to develop strategies and market offerings that matches these consumer segments and their needs. The current academic literature lacks theories and models that adequately examines collaborative markets such as Airbnb and its consumers, particularly pertaining to its demographical and social influence aspects. Because of the technological advances in this day and age, it has effectively changed the consumer landscape to that of open communication and accessibility with feedback and the sharing of consumer ideas, preferences, thoughts through the role of social influence. It is important to understand or to even to examine how consumers interact and influence one another in order to utilize Airbnb, and this could prove useful data for consumer market examination and trends. Airbnb has reported raking in nearly 4 billion ringgit, or is nearly equivalent to about 63% of the travelers' market share. And this is the same market share that is being lost by traditional hotels in Malaysia. This points to a market gap that has been overlooked by traditional hoteliers in Malaysia. And by taking action to understand these market gaps, by effectively understanding who the consumers are and what is compelling them to make purchase decisions, could potentially strive off Airbnb. Well, I think there seems to be a lack of data on social influence and how it impacts one's decision to utilize Airbnb or even traditional hotels. However, user feedback and communication online is said to have contributed to the growth and market adoption of Airbnb amongst other factors, and by thoroughly understanding this area of interest could provide key findings that could be used by hoteliers to counter the growing threat of Airbnb in Malaysia. Coming to the research questions and objectives, in order to examine the demographic and social influence moderations of Airbnb guests in Malaysia, a segmentation study has been proposed with a focus on consumer perspectives in order to come up with a real-world modeling of consumers. As you can see, research question number 1 is do the demographic profiles such as age, gender, income level, and education level significantly moderate the relationships towards consumer loyalty? And research question number 2 is do social influences such as friends and family and social media significantly moderate the relationships towards consumer loyalty, given the presumption that consumer loyalty is what drives these Airbnb market adoptions. The research objectives are to investigate the moderating effects of demographics on the relationships leading to consumer loyalty, and to investigate the moderating effect of social influences on the relationships leading to consumer loyalty, as this current study is mainly concerned with the roles of demographic and social influence acting as moderators towards consumer loyalty. Segmentation studies for Airbnb has been gaining traction lately, and with researchers acknowledging that that a more in-depth knowledge of consumer markets may play a critical role in understanding consumer behavior, and this could be leveraged for strategic marketing and market control that would benefit all interested parties. The WTTC has also reported that the vast majority of travelers of today consist of younger demographics. However, with the lack of quantifiable and empirical data on the part of researchers on homestays is merely a speculation on where these travelers are lodging and why their preferences have changed over the years. The difference between male and female consumers is that males have been found to express strong correlations between consumer satisfaction and loyalty, or, in other words, males are likely to engage in P2P platforms, while females have been found to show proactive traits for information gathering and switching of brands. Social influence. Social influence can be generally understood as the degree to which one's social circle impacts one's consumer decision, be it pre or post-purchase. Airbnb is also dependent on social interactions between its users and clients on an open platform that is the epitome of social computing based on a collaborative consumption in a sharing economy. Point number 3, the role of social networks, communication, interaction and inferences have been observed to be instrumental to Airbnb's growth over the years and has been fully supported by the development of social-based online technological advances. Coming now to the research methodology, a mixed method will be used for this study, combining both structured surveys and open-ended interview sessions. The collection of data will also be done online, notably through Facebook, targeting specific Facebook groups and pages. A non-probability sampling method, purposive sampling and a snowball sampling will be utilized as the recruitment field is online via Facebook. A sample size of 400 respondents for the surveys and 40 respondents for the interview session will be targeted based on a confidence level of 95% and a 5% margin of error within a population of 2 million, which is the estimated population pool of Airbnb users within Malaysia. And as for the instruments, it will be adapted from past papers that have been published. Okay, thank you.